Hi, this video is part of the Every Drop Counts series brought to you by Piedmont Environmental Alliance. We need water to survive, and there is only a limited amount of fresh water on Earth, which is further threatened by climate change. The existing freshwater sources are also at a risk of contamination from pollution. Pollution can threaten our freshwater sources. Remember that the water cycle means that all of the Earth's water is in a closed system. We'll never have new, clean water to replace what we ruin. And yet, we have major disasters happening globally. For example, in 2012, the BP Deepwater Horizon spilled 210 million gallons of crude oil into the Gulf of Mexico. This had major effects on the local ecosystems there, contaminating salt and fresh water alike. We also have local threats to our water quality, such as in 2014, when 39,000 tons of coal ash spilled into the Dan River near Eden, North Carolina. If you've ever been to places like Hanging Rock State Park, then you've been to the Dan River. These spills have drastic effects on the environment in a very short period of time. Think of all the recreational activities that these bodies of water support, like swimming and fishing. None of these are possible in a polluted body of water. More serious impacts of big coal ash and oil spills include harming the wildlife that rely on that water and making the water unsafe for humans to drink. There are also long-term sources of pollution, ways that our local water supply can become polluted every single day. Remember that all of the small streams and creeks lead to bigger streams, which in turn lead to the rivers, forming our Yadkin River Basin, which covers 7,200 square miles. Over 841,000 people depend on the Yadkin River for their drinking water. Our waterways are interconnected, meaning that if a factory pollutes a river upstream, like here, the pollution travels throughout the basin, potentially impacting the hundreds of thousands of people that rely on that water. The water quality in the river can be contaminated in many places along the way. For instance, waste from industry and agriculture, such as fertilizers and pesticides, landfills, gasoline, etc., can all drain into our ground and surface water and contaminate an entire chain of waterways. We can have that effect too. For instance, runoff from roofs, gutters, and streets can carry pollutants such as pet waste, fertilizer, motor oil, detergents, chemicals, and litter. Think of all the waste that accumulates in your yard, neighborhood, or street. Maybe you get your yard sprayed for mosquitoes, or use fertilizers on your lawn. When it rains, all of those chemicals travel down the storm drain and flow into our waterways. This can have a major impact on the health of our watershed and all of the organisms that depend on it. For instance, fertilizer runoff contributes to a process called eutrophication. The fertilizer, along with waste from the wastewater treatment plants and large agricultural operations, can increase nutrients in the water and cause algae blooms, some of which are harmful. They can be toxic to humans and animals, causing a range of effects from irritation to more severe neurological, digestive, or respiratory system impacts. As temperatures continue to rise due to climate change, these harmful blooms will become even more common in the Yadkin River Basin. Research shows that even with the efforts of the government and nonprofits like Yadkin River Keeper to keep our waterways clean, problems like toxic algae blooms persist. This means that we face higher water treatment costs, along with the other associated risks. Another one of our everyday habits can pollute water: plastic. A huge portion of our daily waste is plastics, and unfortunately only 9% of all the plastic waste produced in the past half century has been recycled. Instead, a lot of it ends up in water. Often the plastic in your trash can ends up being blown away during transport to a landfill due to its light weight. This plastic, along with the plastic already littered on the street, does not stay there. Instead, it gets washed into local waterways. From there, it flows into the ocean, joining the trash sourced from boats, like fishing gear. Ocean currents often pull the waste into the same area, creating a floating garbage patch. This is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, located in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Some researchers estimate it to be the size of Texas. And it's not the only one. Currently, there are 6 main garbage patches, or hotspots, swirling around in our oceans. While marine debris doesn't impact our drinking water, it does heavily impact sea life, including 267 species worldwide. These creatures often end up dying as a result of ingestion, starvation, suffocation, infection, drowning, and entanglement. Additionally, organic pollutants become attached to the surface of plastics and other marine debris and are carried across oceans. Unfortunately, that plastic doesn't go away once it ends up in the water. It can take hundreds of years to degrade. Even then, it never fully breaks down and often ends up consumed by sea life. Then, the plastic and pollutants remain in the body of the fish or other organism and then enters the human food chain through this process. Garbage patches have the potential to pollute both the human food chain and the ocean for centuries. Litter impacts freshwater ecosystems in the same way, along with the other large and small-scale pollution discussed previously. As we know, there's a very limited amount of freshwater that we have available to us on Earth. In order to protect this valuable resource, we have to take action in our daily lives. To learn more about ways we can protect our water, sign up for an Every Drop Counts webinar. Thank you to our sponsors for making this video possible.